More and more, it's looking like King Bibi is dead, and all that they can do is create AI. AI creates videos. And this is another brother breaking it down. Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors, the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who are teaching this truth and sincerity. And shout out to Yakims out there on the four corners of the earth proclaiming this truth. Braka the Yahweh, Braka the Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakadash, Braka Tam.
Alright, Shalom. I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. This is the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiastes chapter 39 and verse 1. And it reads, it says, "But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies." Okay? So, in this time that we live in, a lot of major things are happening every day. And since this war against Iran has started, the news has been on fire. Okay? So we're just going to let the spirit move and see where it takes us.
Is Benjamin Netanyahu dead? That's what the internet has been saying. Yeah, seriously. If you scroll through social media, you'll find hundreds of posts claiming all kinds of things. Some say the Israeli Prime Minister has been killed in an Iranian attack, others say he's hiding, and still others say his videos are AI deepfakes. These are videos that show Netanyahu alive. The internet says they're fake. It sounds crazy, but that's the thing about wars. Misinformation flies faster than missiles.
Yep. And like we talked about yesterday here, this is from the New York Times. Headline reads, it says, "Cascade of AI fakes about war with Iran causes chaos online." All right, so there's a lot of fake content going out with this war against Iran. A lot of fake videos, fake pictures. Okay, so we live in a time of heavy deception. Okay, so people don't know what's real and what's not, you know. So definitely, man, you know, it's all part of the devil's sorcery, you know.
Here's how it started. A strange video was circulating online. In it, Netanyahu appeared to be speaking. Take a look.
"We are crushing the nuclear infrastructure of Iran, the missile and launcher array, the repression headquarters, the regime centers of power, and many more targets."
People noticed something bizarre. His hand looked wrong. In one frame, it appeared to have 6 fingers. Now, if you follow AI-generated images, you know that this is a classic giveaway. Artificial intelligence often struggles to generate hands correctly, especially the fingers. They struggle with the fingers. So the internet did what the internet always does. It jumped to conclusions. Maybe the video was fake, maybe Netanyahu was not even alive, maybe Israel was using AI to pretend that he was still around. And within hours, the rumors spread across thousands of accounts. That's when Netanyahu responded. His official social media account posted a new video. It showed him at a coffee shop in Jerusalem Hills. He raises both hands to the camera in this video to show 5 fingers on each hand. And then he jokes, "I'm dead for coffee."
"What did you ask me?"
Prime Minister, people are saying online that you're actually dead.
"I'm crazy about coffee. You know what? I'm crazy about my people. The way they're behaving, fantastic. Do you want to count the number of fingers? You were? Very nice. Cheers."
Well, this video was meant to quell the rumors. It only fired them up further, because people immediately began analyzing this clip. They went through it frame by frame. Some pointed out that the coffee is always at the same level. It doesn't change. Others said that the lip movements look unnatural. Some even claimed that brown coffee stains appear and disappear in the video. In some frames, you can see the stains around his lips. In others, they're missing. People clearly have a lot of time.
It's getting tacky, man. Never trust our enemy. All right, this man is a damn liar. You know, Job 13:4. "But ye are forgers of lies. Ye are all physicians of no value." All right, so hey, those lies, the deception is wearing off, man. People are doing deep research, man. So you never know. This guy could be alive. He could be dead. You just don't know. But eventually, it's going to be known. It's going to be concrete whether he's alive or not. You know, Psalm 144:11. "Rid me and deliver me from the hand of strange children." All right, you Edomites, whose mouth speaketh vanity, and their right hand is the right hand of falsehood, lies, deception.
Oh, and I have to add in one more thing. If he really does turn out to be dead, the successor, the former prime minister of the Israeli state takes over. That former prime minister said, and I quote, "We are going to wipe Damascus off the face of the earth." Now, this was said when Bashar al-Assad was still in power. But I believe him to carry that out. He also recently stated that after they're done with Iran, that they're going to go after Turkey. That Turkey is next on their list to have full control of the Mideast. That they have to take out Turkey.
Okay? A lot of deception going out, man, to keep people, to keep people in that state of confusion. Okay, people don't know what
This is a city of confusion.
What to believe, and that's exactly how they wanted the people to be.
Every which way but loose.
And then there was the AI assistant Grok. It added fuel to the fire. Grok suggested that the clip may have been AI-generated satire. Basically, Grok called it a deep fake. And that made the rumors explode further. And now there's a third video. It shows him interacting with civilians. But even this has not satisfied the internet. They say his ring keeps disappearing in the video.
اسمع لي زخم زي حتى لو خير خلينا قاعد ويا زعما مطوط تبي تصدق تبي تبي نخاف مقام افوت لا ما شاء الله على بدر الدب كم تصدق مكان ها يوفي زاخي.
And if you're still wondering, of course, Benjamin Netanyahu is alive. But the thing is, wars are the perfect breeding ground for rumors like these, especially wars in the age of social media and AI. We know that Iranian media outlets have threatened Netanyahu, so have their military groups. They say they would hunt him down. In such an environment, information becomes a weapon. Fake videos, manipulated clips, psychological warfare, it's all part of the battlefield now.
Yeah, like you said, it's all part of the battlefield. It's all part of the confusion, the spread. All right, so people don't really believe, don't really trust. All right, we've been saying this for the longest. As soon as this AI came out, the deep fakes, the AI generated videos. All right, we told you in the spirit that this was going to be used to deceive many. All right, as Yahushua warned us, be not deceived. All right, so hey, the times are extremely heavy.
And Netanyahu fits perfectly in these plots because they align with his political story. For decades, his politics has revolved around one theme, and that is Iran. For more than 30 years, in fact, he has been warning the world about Iran, about its military goals, about its nuclear achievements, about the need to bomb it, to decapitate the Iranian regime.
Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
This Iranian regime is giving Hamas the rockets, money, and the political and military backing. Therefore, if we want to end the threat of rockets from Gaza, there is no escape from uprooting the Iranian regime, Iran's regime in Gaza.
Iran's completed
to uproot them.
the first stage,
They're not going to be able to uproot Iran.
but they completed it, and they're 70% of the way there. Now they're well into the second stage. And by next spring, at most, by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage.
From the Caspian Sea to the Mediterranean, from Tehran to Tartus, an Iranian curtain is descending across the Middle East. Iran spreads this curtain of tyranny and terror over Iraq, Syria.
And the Israeli state does it?
The Iran deal, the nuclear deal,
Who's
is based
ISIS?
on lies.
Israeli
It's
Secret
based on
Intelligence
Iranian lies
Services, right?
and Iranian deception. 100,000 files right here prove that they lied.
He's made a career out of targeting Iran. And on February 28th, his wish came true. For the last 17 days, the US and Israel have been doing just that, bombing Iran. And it shows you the Israeli Prime Minister's insatiable appetite for war. It's like conflicts are his business model. He thrives on it. He has been Prime Minister of Israel for over 18 years, and out of these, Israel has been at war for over 1,000 days. That's nearly 3 years. In 2023, they were fighting the Hamas in Gaza. Last year, they had a brief war with Iran, and now they're at it again. So how does it help Netanyahu? Well, it's the perfect distraction to keep him in power. You see, Netanyahu faces multiple corruption charges, including bribery, fraud, and breach of trust. But when the country is at war, legal proceedings are put on the back burner, the trial gets delayed. And that's not all. Elections, too, get delayed. Israel is supposed to vote by October this year. And when the country is at war, when it feels threatened, voters tend to rally behind strong security leaders. And that's how Netanyahu has pitched himself. In politics, war can be a powerful shield. It rallies a nation around its leader. And for years, this has been one of Benjamin Netanyahu's crutches. War has helped him reset the political clock. But
Just like Zelensky, that's the other one that does it.
The hanging over Israel today is not whether Netanyahu is dead. The question is whether his politics of permanent war can survive.
The world doesn't. Yeah, everything that he's doing is failing him. You know, the lies, the propaganda, okay, the AI, you know, has the wisdom of Teman perished, right? Jeremiah 49:7. Concerning Edom, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Shino Shah of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? All right, and nothing is working. Everything is backfiring. Okay, the lies and sorcery is no longer working. But the scriptures say we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, man. Okay, so everything that they're pulling out is coming to none effect, you know? People are seeing through the bullshit. Jeremiah 49:7 NLT. This message was given concerning Edom. This is what the Lord of heaven's army says. Is there no more wisdom in Teman? there's no one left to give wise counsel. All right, so it's all backfiring. All right, and I want to get into this too, because like I said, every day around the world, major things are happening. Right, here's another point on that. This came out a few hours ago from CNN. It says key allies absolutely despise U.S. action in Iran.
President Trump still says he wants other countries to help open the Strait of Hormuz. Most other countries, at least publicly, not jumping up and down to help. Question is, why? With us now, CNN chief data analyst Harry Etten. So what's a possible reason why these other countries aren't lining up just yet publicly to help with President Trump in Iran?
It's really simple, Mr. Berman. It's really simple. The people in those countries hate the U.S. military action in Iran. What are we talking about here? Okay, net approval rating, U.S. military action in Iran. In Canada, way underwater, minus 27 points. You think that's low? Thank you, Mr. Berman. You think that's low? Take a look here in Japan. Negative 73 points. My goodness gracious. Way down there. How about in the U.K.? We're talking about 34 points underwater. Key U.S. allies, the people in those countries, absolutely despise the U.S. military action in Iran. No wonder the leaders in those countries are, let's just say, a little apprehensive about helping out the U.S.
So compare this to the environment in 2003, and I'm picking that point because that was the beginning of the U.S. intervention war in Iraq. How did people in these countries feel at the beginning of that war compared to now?
Okay, so you see these numbers are quite low. They weren't always this low when it came to U.S. military action in the Middle East, because take a look at this situation. Okay, shift in net approval rating, U.S. military action in Iran now versus in Iraq in 2003. In Canada, way down. We're talking down, get this, 27 points. How about in Japan? Down way down there, down 45 points. How about in the UK? And of course, there was UK involvement in that particular war. Look at that, down 48 points. So what we're seeing is a massive shift when it comes to how the people, our allies, people in those countries, are viewing the U.S. military action in the Middle East. Far less popular this time around. No wonder the leaders in those countries want pretty much absolutely nothing to do with this conflict, because they know there are big electoral consequences if they do, and not good electoral consequences.
What's happening overall with views of America abroad?
Yeah, okay, so you see these numbers, you see these shifts down in terms of how our allies or folks in those countries view U.S. military action in the Middle East. You see how unpopular it is this time around. Canada, Japan, the UK. And this is just part of a larger picture, Mr. Berman. A larger picture. Favorable view of the U.S. in 2025 versus 2024. Of course, Donald Trump being the president in 2025, Joe Biden being the president of the United States in 2024. Look at this. Favorable view of the U.S. down 79% of 24 countries residents asked. The bottom line is this. The folks overseas are far less likely to view the U.S. favorably, and those chickens, they're coming home to roost.
Yep, you see? So America's being isolated.
Tired of the
That's why
tariffs.
I keep going back to this article here. All right, because this has to hold some type of spiritual weight, some spiritual significance, right? The average empire survives for 250 years. Is America at death's door? All right, and this is the year of the 250 marker. Okay, so this has to hold, as I said, some type of spiritual weight, man. Given everything that's been happening since the so-called New Year of 2026 has came in. Okay, America is being isolated for destruction, man. Okay, people don't want to have anything to do with this place, right? As you were saying, people hate. They hate what's going on. They absolutely despise U.S. action in Iran, right? This is Obadiah 1:1. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord power, Yahweh Shem Shah, concerning Edom. All right, and we all know who Edom is. No more confusion about that. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. And this is what's happening around the world. Everybody is rising up against the U.S. and Israeli hegemony, man. Okay, they're preparing war. Verse 2, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. So just like those small hats are greatly despised, so is America. Okay? Key allies absolutely despise U.S. action in Iran. It's the spirit. Thou art greatly despised. Verse 3, the pride of thy heart hath deceived thee. Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? That's the spirit of America, of Esau. Okay, that Esau would never fall, that he would never be brought down. Okay? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. All right, so it's just time to fall again. Okay? Hey, average empires don't survive no more than 250 years, and we're at that 250-year mark. All right, this year is the anniversary, the birthday, the anniversary of America. 250 years. Okay? Verse 5. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? All right, this has been a hell of a year. All right, all the scumbag dirt bullshit that's been going on. that's been exposed from these devils.
Yep, Epstein.
Epstein Islands, the trafficking of children, okay, the demonic practices, all of that, man. You know, his past history, all the way to current. It's all been searched out. It's all been sought up. There's a heavy inquisition going out against the Edomite. A thorough investigation. All right. The point, verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Right. Let me read that in NLT. Because eventually all of Babylon's allies are going to turn against this place, man. As prophecy states, Obadiah 1:7 NLT. All your allies will turn against you, and this is the beginning. Okay? America's key allies absolutely despise U.S. action in Iran. Okay? These nations are not with this, man. They don't want to get involved. Okay? And that's why a lot of these nations are going to turn and do backdoor deals against America. They're going to start siding with China and Russia, Iran. Okay? It says, all your allies will turn against you. They will help to chase you from your land. They will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you. Your trusted friends will set traps for you, and you won't even know about it. Right? This is what America's getting ready to fall into. You see? Verse 8, at that time, a single wise person will be left in the whole land of Edom, says the Lord, for on the mountains of Edom, I will destroy everyone who has understanding. Right? It's over, man. Okay? Again, America's being isolated, man. Both America and Israel. Okay? This is the whole situation with the Strait of Hormuz, right?
Will the Strait of Hormuz remain closed so long as this war continues?
Well, as a matter of fact, the Strait of Hormuz is open. It is only closed to the tankers and ships belong to our enemies, to those who are attacking us and their allies. Others are free to pass. Of course, many of them prefer not because of their security concerns. This has nothing to do with us. And at the same time, there are many tankers and ships who are passing through the Strait of Hormuz, and I can say that the strait is not closed, but it is only closed to American, Israeli, ships and tankers, and not to others.
There you go. So America and Israel are being blocked. All right, this is a major deal. Okay.
In this situation, as there's very little support abroad for the U.S. military action in Iran.
And they have to worry about politics at home, these leaders do. Harry, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
We defend all these countries, and then do you have any
No, you don't.
sleepers? And they say, well, would it be possible for us not to get involved? We spend trillions and trillions of dollars on NATO to defend other countries. And I always said, but if it ever comes time to defend us, they're not going to be there. Many of them would not be there. And we're going to have to start thinking more wisely in this country.
Actually, as the show was starting, we were talking about the coalition of the willing era from the Bush era versus whatever this is now, the coalition of the vaguely unwilling. What did you see in how the president was talking about allies now?
Well, first of all, I think the coalition of the willing was a different time just because, remember, America was attacked first. So there was a lot of people that were coming up and surrounding and helping us during that time. But I also think what's going to happen to NATO after this, because at least as long as President Trump's there, he's going to get very angry in regards to American dollars going towards NATO. Here's what I think is happening in Europe. First of all, they don't have that many ships to give. I mean, a lot of them do not have ones that are ready to go, especially in places like England and France. But also, they are giving a ton of money and have a very unpopular populist message that's happening with their support of Ukraine right now. I mean, obviously, that's something you've seen for the last few years in the United States of don't give any more money to Ukraine. That has been starting over the last year. So I think they're, meaning the leaders of Europe, are really fighting their battles back home in regards to their people do not want to get involved in a war that was not
Maybe
started
that
by
is
them.
what we're seeing in the reflection of some of these country responses. We did a roundup. I'm going to start with Estonia. Quote, it's a bit rich. Australia, we won't be sending a ship to the Strait of Hormuz. Germany, it is not NATO's war. Diplomacy needs to prevail, that from Italy. Can you talk about the way they have responded, especially since the perception was, due to the leverage with tariffs, Trump had a lot of control and leverage?
Well, a lot of that has gone away, first and foremost, but the biggest part is, you don't ask for help after the fact. The biggest difference between the coalition of the willing is that, yes, there was an attack, obviously, but President Bush and the Bush administration built this coalition, and really for more than a year. Now, this is something that the Trump administration did with Israel's help, and then after the fact, now we're 3 weeks on, is suddenly asking for help. And
Not just 3 weeks on. Can I show you this Donald Trump Truth Social post from March 7th? You probably remember this. It was a reply to the UK. He said the UK, our once great ally, maybe the greatest of them all, finally giving serious thought to sending 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East, right? This was weeks ago. Here's what we're pointing out. Prime Minister Starmer, we don't need them any longer. We don't need people that join wars after we've already won. Here we are weeks later. Sounds like we haven't won if he's now making another round of requests.
It makes it seem like there really wasn't a long-term plan here. I mean, the reality is, again, asking for the Allies' help after saying things like that makes it very, very difficult. So, look, the bottom line is the White House and the President have said there's going to be a list of allies who are helping. That will be a pretty short list. I'm not sure who would be on it, but to Ashley's point...
Hey, nobody fucks with America, man. You know, the nations are they're turning their back. All right? And I can see through the Spirit going to, was it in Revelation, the 17th chapter, you know, as we were talking about Trump coming against NATO, you can see that in the Spirit that it's going to lead to, I'm typing in the wrong spot, it's going to lead to the beast shall hate the whore. Let me get that real quick. You know, you can see that happening. Okay? This is Revelation 17. Okay, where are we at? Bear with me. Revelation 17 and 16, it says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore." All right, so eventually NATO and the EU is going to turn on America, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. See, so it's going to turn up. Okay, the Lord's going to cause that the divide between those
rift.
two.
Yep.
You know, so Esau's hegemony is going to fall, man, as we're watching it. Okay, let's finish it out.
And the toll is being paid in Chinese yuan, not in dollars.
Not that I'm like, who can help?
Right.
Yeah, but he's asking, right? So obviously there's a need, and that we're trying.
Give me, I need.
Have a Navy, because I saw him at the Board of Peace not that long ago with all of these nations sitting at the building of
over
peace.
Gaza, yeah.
Oh yeah, and so those were supposedly our friends. They need them have a Navy. I know you may be a Navy expert. I am not, but I will tell you that this war is not popular, and what's happening right now is not popular. And I think that's why you feel the tension at the White House tightening, because the American people are fed up with paying $5 a gallon for diesel.
Brett, you wrote this thoughtful piece on what the options are now for the United States, that it finds itself in this war, which you're saying you think is probably around that halfway point. Can you give us some sense of what those options are?
A lot of focus there on a naval coalition to come into the Strait of Hormuz. And I've been involved in building coalitions across my career. Those coalitions take time to build. Every single country, even our closest allies, they have legal requirements, political requirements, and once you get over those hurdles, you then have to go military to military, rules of engagement. So I would say in the best case, even if we have countries lining up, we're weeks away from having a naval coalition in the Strait of Hormuz. I think that work has to get underway, but there's really no quick fix here. So what I would anticipate over the coming weeks and weeks is the military campaign, the CENTCOM military campaign, which is proceeding methodically day after day, Sarah, kind of taking apart Iran's defense industrial base, their ability to project power. That will continue to go on as this diplomacy goes on in the Straits of Hormuz. But it's going to take time to build a coalition, even in the best case. And as we've seen in the past couple of days, a lot of our allies, because of the treatment by the Trump administration, have been very reluctant. And they have their own politics in their capitals. I suspect we will see the UK. Prime Minister of Japan is here on Thursday. I think that'll be an important meeting. We might see some contributions from Japan. A lot's going on behind the scenes, but there's no quick fix here to the Strait of Hormuz issue.
Yep. Let's make that point too. Okay, it's from collapse.news. The true famine is yet to come, while nuclear Middle East means global starvation. Okay? And we ain't got to read that. We talked about this a little bit now. But we understand it on how this this blockage is going to affect the supply chain, as we talked about, right? Now, I want to add on some more points to what they were saying in the video, because these American people are going through it, right? This is from a day ago. The average person is running out of money.
I woke up the other day and just realized I have not prepared for retirement.
I got paid $9.49 and my bills equal $9.74.
Right now, guys, people are struggling. People are hurting financially, and well, a lot of people
they don't have a system.
Ooh, see, they're saying that. It's the spirit. A lot of people can't afford to live. All right, Haggai. All right, it's painful out here, and it's only going to get much worse. All right, Haggai 1:6.
Yep, been
stripped. It says, "You have sown much and bringing little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to be put into bags with holes." All right, the money that you make goes in and goes out.
Yep.
Okay, like she said, she made what, $900 something, right? Matter of fact, let's play that again. Right? She said she made $900 something, and her bills totaled to like $900 80 something, which was over what she made.
Yep.
So she can't even save money. You know?
Let's talk about it.
I got paid $9.49 and my bills equal $9.74.
That's a $26
So I literally
difference
work to pay
alone.
my bills. I never have money for groceries, barely. Sometimes
Cooked. And that's everybody, man. Right? Your average so-called American.
maybe $90 if I'm lucky. I'm gonna have to go to the food pantry again, which is fine. I'm really blessed to have access to that. But I just wish that work meant something. Like, I wish I had enough. Like, I don't even have enough to cover my bills. So now I can only pay half of my power bill. Hopefully they don't want to freaking shut it off on me. Like, people talking about get a different job. It doesn't just work like that.
That's like
I
being
get 10
addicted
hours
to
of
checking the
sick time
cash.
and 10 hours of annual.
Well, you
I got
borrow
health
against your
conditions,
check.
And I constantly have to be out of work. If I worked any other job, I'd be fired because I would have already taken 7 days off. They fire you if you need more time off because we're economic slaves. We work for this economy, but this economy doesn't work for us. Most of us are old, retired, living off of disability and security, complaining about not having enough. That's the American dream. All of us living off of the government, upset. Yeah, okay. And I don't get assistance because they say I make too much. I definitely made too much this check. I have enough for the groceries and then some, huh? Like, if I could just skip my bills, I'd have enough money to go get my car taken care of. Like, fuck the bills, let me just go freaking get my oil changed, my tires rotated, my brakes done, my alignment fixed, my steering column fixed. Like, that would be great. Especially because my car eats 2 quarts of oil every 500 miles.
Yeah, real quick, I was thinking about a scripture here. All right, because people are crying. People are hurt. All right? Ecclesiastes 4:1. Okay? The evils of oppression, right? Ecclesiastes 4:1. So I return and consider all the oppressions that are done under the sun. And behold, the tears of such were oppressed. They had no comforter. And on the other side of their oppressors, there was power, but they had no comforter. Yeah, see, these people, you know, they don't know Yahweh Shem Yahushua, they don't know the Lord. So, what do these people have to rely on? All right, they don't have any type of comfort, man.
That's right.
Okay, the Most High is stripping away the security,
JC
the
is
comfort,
just
the money.
Bail.
All right, you know, people just don't got it. Okay, and that's the result of the oppression that goes on in the society. All right. NLT, again, Ecclesiastes 4:1, it says, again, I observe all the oppression that takes place under the sun. I saw the tears of the oppressed with no one to comfort them. The oppressors have great power, and their victims are helpless. See, people are helpless. They don't know what to do. This is why they're ready to just quit. Give up on life. Okay? As we talk about often, crash out season is about to intensify, man. On a whole nother level. Okay?
So I have to constantly put oil in it because I was scammed from my car dealership. I was like, just wanting to get groceries this check, honestly.
That is a very tough spot to be in. I will say this. I tend to be the one that's like, you know, hey, let's manage our money and do, you know, this stuff. But I understand also that there are times, especially when, let's say, you're dealing with maybe a child that is, you know, is disabled or special needs. I understand that makes life that much harder. And I understand how much, especially if you're a single parent on top of that, I can only imagine how tough that is for someone out there who's trying to get ahead financially. And then, of course, things just keep going wrong.
Yep. You know, people today are working multiple jobs, still barely surviving. This is oppression. Okay? Let's play this one too. You can watch the rest of that. All right? This is from a homestead journey. The food crisis in America is starting to worry people.
So we all know that we're paying more at the grocery store every single week that we go, but besides just inflation, there are some other things at play here. Before I get into the 3 other reasons why grocery prices are going up, look at what other people are paying right now when they go to the store.
How is this $140? Like, this isn't even really any meals. This is barely anything to make a meal. Why?
When did chocolate chips get so expensive? That is insane. Kroger brand, off-brand, used to be $1.99 a bag. Insane. Absolutely crazy.
People are still buying crap.
Ghirardelli bags.
That's for rich people.
Regular
Yeah,
size.
crap.
$4.29. Full house. bags, large bags. $12.99.
I would definitely recommend TurboTax. My tax expert, she was amazing. This is insane. $7.
Yeah, that's for rich people.
10 slices of cheese. I need to get that out of the US.
Going through the Chick-fil-A drive-thru right now, and it's just me. My kids are grown, and I got myself a Cobb salad. No egg, no bacon. Not
Lucky
a fan of
you, you're
egg and
rich.
bacon. I got myself a small frosty lemonade. So a
What's
frosty
in your
lemonade
wallet?
and a Cobb salad. $30.
Oh, yeah.
What in the world?
Yeah, you got the money.
I don't know how I would have done it if I would have had my kids now. Because I cannot do it when it's just me and I'm ordering just a salad for myself. I mean, I can't even imagine if I had my kids in 2025, my little kids, and trying to go through a drive-thru. I really am sending blessings to all the parents out there, all the single moms. It's hard out there.
Husband are at our local mom and pop store.
That's very true. The beef prices, way too expensive. Yeah, you're gonna have to change your diet. Get turkey meat.
Yeah, real quick, Revelation 6.
Y'all better figure it out.
And 5. This is Revelation 6 and 5. It says the third seal famine, right? As we just talked about, the true famine is yet to come. Why nuclear Middle East means global starvation, right? Revelation 6 and 5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. The point, verse 6. And I heard the voice in the midst of the four beasts say, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine." All right. So again, you know, the people's days' wages for work no longer suffice, man. All right. There's no buying power with the dollar bill. Okay. The money no longer has value. Hyperinflation. All right. It's costing more. You know, the price hikes and the shortages. All right. So people can't afford their daily necessities based off the money that they make nowadays, man. It just doesn't work. Okay, basic food is becoming expensive, which is an economic imbalance. All right, this is why people are fucking struggling. Okay, and then she was talking about single moms, right?
They won't get rid of their crap food,
right? You are in for the worst, the rudest awakening ever, man. And the heavy part about it is that the Lord, He's just getting started. Okay.
What's this?
Yes, sir. Stupid book.
That will do it.
What world are we living in? Because there's no way. $8.29? No freaking
Fuck you.
$10 for Fruit Loops? But what do you mean?
Those are name brands. Get the generic, stupid.
There's no way. Fruit Loops is $10 for 8 ounces. For 8 ounces, $10.
Yeah, you retards like the name brand. Get the generics, you stupid idiot.
The fruity, the these Honey Nut Cheerios are $10.
Ain't no way. Ain't no.
Yep. Stop going to the expensive stores, stupid.
I know that I've become desensitized to the cost of groceries. However, sometimes it catches me off guard, and today was one of them. I bought 2 bags of groceries, stuff to make meals for tonight and then meals for tomorrow because we have a snow day, and also just like extra things. And some of the things were kind of expensive, right? I've got like splurged on Halo Top, I got some beef bouillon, I got some butter, I got some actual salad and like food. But like, tell me my shock when I was like mentally prepared for like $100, right? It was $175. $175. And I feel like yes, I got some staples, and yes, I got things to make 2 meals worth, which we'll have leftovers with. $175 with no alcohol blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. And I just don't understand how some people pay and buy groceries. I just don't. I'm very fortunate. Me and my partner work really hard. We have money. We can buy groceries. However, I'm somebody who doesn't think often about like the price of things because I'm lucky enough to be in a place where I make more than I have for bills, and I'm still blown away. So I cannot even fathom if it was like back in my childhood, back when we had like nothing, or we were on food stamps. Even then, like, is food stamps even like keeping up with the prices of groceries? And
Of course they're not. Don't be silly.
For him too, right? I was thinking about one. I think
It's going to get worse for him. Yep.
11.
Faggot.
Let's see. Lamentations 2 and 11. It says, my eyes do fail with tears, my bowels are troubled. My liver is poured upon the earth for the destruction of the daughter of my people, because the children and the suckling swoon in the streets of the city. Verse 12, the point. They say to their mothers, where is the corn and wine? When they swoon, as the wounded in the streets of the city, when their soul was poured out into the mother's bosom. All right, so I'm applying that now because you having families crying because they can't afford or find food. Okay, let me read that in NLT, see what we get out of that. Lamentations 2 and 12. They cry out to their mothers, we need food and drink. Their lives ebb away in the streets like the life of a warrior wounded in battle. They gasp for life as they collapse in their mother's arms. Man, starvation, famine. Okay, and these are the things that are being applied to America now. So you can check the rest of that out, in 2 videos here. But that's the point, man. America's finished, bro. All right, and it's only going to get worse from here. So like I was saying earlier, again, this has to have this 250th year marker has to have some type of significance to what's about to go down for America, Babylon. Shalom.
And so here we are. They have to usher in this new system. Well, you already know Sweden has been a test state as well, as most people are chipped over there. Well, that's what they want, is everybody to have the chip, and Sweden just happens to be that groundbreaking state country. Sweden breach shows the security risks of national digital ID systems. Sweden built the world's most seamless digital identity system, and someone just walked off with the blueprints. Because this has been the model for some time. Bank ID is the single authentication layer Swedes use for nearly everything: government services, banking, digital signatures, and tax filings. Over 8.6 million people in their country, of just over 10 million, run their digital lives through it. That's a national dependency, a single point of failure dressed up as infrastructure modernization. Also reportedly being sold separately, databases containing Swedish citizens' personal data and electronic signature documents. This breach exposes a layered vulnerability, meaning that pretty much, all of it is just, it's a recipe for disaster, but that's the system that they want to bring in. So, see what this is.
Again, I was on television saying that bin Laden's a CIA asset. Looks like he'll attack New York.
Looks like just classic
call
stuff.
Washington. Tell them to call off the attack.
And they are planning another false flag like 9/11 to blame Iran, as you know.
Join us today.
They've already been doing false flags. You didn't catch yesterday's video.
Wednesday, July 25th.
They're planning a bigger one.
Broadcast. Tyranny is enveloping the globe, and the United States is a shining jewel the globalists want to bring down, and they will use terrorism as the pretext to get it done.
Yep.
That's coming up in the second half of the show. Very important information. I'm going to put the call out that you call the White House and tell them, look, we've seen
previous to
wanted to blow
September 11, as you notice the date.
That you're saying that 4 million of us are going to die and we need martial law and the Associated Press at one of your little drills you had, and that we're aware of who the terrorists are if you pull this. This can stop this Hitlerian Reichstag event. I want to put the toll-free number up for Congress. And I won't want you to believe Alex Jones. I want you to go get these news stories off my website. I want you to call these major newspapers. I want you to find out these statements were true by the White House about preparing for martial law. And I want you to let them know that if there is any terrorism, we know who to blame. The point is, if any terrorism comes, it's from this government. And if there was an outside threat like a bin Laden, who was a known CIA asset in the 80s, running the Mujahideen war, and whose family builds all the military bases over in Saudi Arabia right now, and sits on the board of Iridium Satellite. He's the boogeyman they need in this Orwellian phony system. I want the White House numbers up there now. A big part of the solution, after you research all the government terrorism and check out what I'm saying is true, call the White House and tell them, we know the government's planning terrorism. We know Oklahoma City and World Trade Center was terrorism. We know the Joint Chiefs of Staff wanted to blow up airliners, Baltimore Sun. If you do it, we're going to blame you because we know who's up to it. Or if you let some terrorist group do it, like the World Trade Center, we know who to blame. And you could save the planet. I'm calling it Operation Expose the Government Terror.
And guess what? They did pull off 9/11. Well, they're planning another one, so you already know who's behind it, right? You know? World Health Organization convenes global session to dictate how the coming influenza pandemic will be run. The new pandemic control session, organized by the World Health Organization Epidemics and Pandemics Information Network, will decree how governments, laboratories participating in the World Health Organization Influenza Surveillance Network and pharmaceutical manufacturers operate under the framework during influenza pandemic response. So, the fact that this is all in there, you know, that, you know, they've been rehearsing for this, you know, what better time to run something like that, right? But, hey, you know, you also got the war. You know, you got two distractions at the same time, right? You know, you think people are just going to willingly lock down this time after 2020 has been proved to be a hoax? Well, that's just it. That will cause uproars of the people if you're not already seeing it, right? But in the midst of all that, well, you got rumor of an invasion of Cuba imminent amid this war, you know, because, well, Trump wasn't going to stop with Greenland. He wasn't going to stop with Venezuela. He wasn't going to stop with Mexico. You know, now he's really pushing to grab Cuba because, hey, he's getting hard. He wants it. He wants it now. So, like everything else, so impending invasion of Cuba as well, you know. Hey, you know, they, like a madman sparing none, right? You know, he's going after country, you know, because, you know, World War III is already here, so you're seeing the grab, but.
Joining the discuss, Larry Taunton. He's the host of Ideas Have Consequences, which you can find over on YouTube. You can also find him on X at Larry Taunton. Larry, it's always great to have you back on the show, my friend, and an honor, of course. I wanted to talk Cuba with you. You've been to the region, obviously, you're well versed on it. And the president's getting a little aggressive with his warnings to Cuban officials. There's also several reports saying that the Cuban communists who are running the country are willing and also exchanging back and forth with this administration right now. So what do you make in regards to the president's threats against Cuba? We're going to discuss Larry Taunton. He's the host of Ideas Have Consequences, which you can find over on YouTube.
As always,
The country are willing and also exchanging back and forth with this administration right now. So what do you make in regards to the president's threats against Cuba? And what do you make about what they've done thus far?
well, first of all, good to be with you, Brianna, as always. I think the president is using the bully pulpit, as Teddy Roosevelt called it, and I think he's using it very effectively. What we're hearing is the Cubans are suddenly now interested in talking to the Trump administration about some kind of negotiated, agreement. Cuba is, along with North Korea, is one of the few genuinely communist countries remaining in the world. China now is fascist. It isn't Cuban in any meaningful sense. Communist in any meaningful sense, nor is Vietnam. But Cuba is, and I was there just a few years ago, and it was fascinating. First of all, how friendly the Cuban people were, how very pro-American they were, but also how utterly destitute and third world Cuba is. And that is because socialism, communism, has absolutely cratered that economy. So I think what Trump is doing here makes very good sense.
Yeah, well, do you expect, and actually, let's play this clip, because there was another congressman who was also speaking on the threat of Cuba in clip 9. I want to listen to this one. Take a listen.
Political change, you're not going to have any economic change or improvement to the situation for the people of Cuba. This government has run the economy right into the ground, and it doesn't work. Communism, socialism doesn't work in Cuba, doesn't work anywhere else either.
That's Congressman Jimenez, who's detailing just that. Obviously, I think you and I both know that communism doesn't work when it comes to the economy currently in Cuba. Just detail what you saw when you were on the ground there, and specifically what's up ahead for that. Because, it does look like they were strongly relying on Venezuela, obviously, and now that that's gone completely for them, this is going to be a rough road ahead for Cubans.
Yeah, well, let me tell just two very quick stories that I think will illustrate the problem there. While I was there, a young woman who was translator for me, one day it's time for lunch. And I said to her, is the Cuban sandwich actually Cuban, or is that something American, and we just call it that? And she said, no, it's actually Cuban. And I said, I've never had one. And she said, neither have I.
And I said, really? Why not? And she said, because she was not kidding. She said, because we can't afford meat. I said, are you kidding me? You've never been able to afford like lunch meat? You've never had a Cuban sandwich? Well, today I am changing your life. I took her to a restaurant that caters, to foreigners, chiefly say Russians or Chinese, not a lot of Americans in Cuba. Second story is this. I had gotten into Cuba because I just published my book, Around the World in More Than 80 Days, and I'm sitting in a cigar
Sound
shop
familiar?
with a friend of
The
mine.
U.S. always
And
messes
he says,
with people's
How many
economies.
countries, do you cover? And I said 26 countries. I'm comparing them to the United States. He says, is there any country you didn't get into that you wanted to get into? I said, yeah, I couldn't get into Cuba. And he said, I can get you into Cuba. And so I did. I went with him under, the auspices of humanitarian relief. And once I got into the country, I let them do their thing most of the time. And I departed to go and do my own thing. Next thing you know, I am summoned by the state police. They come to my hotel. They leave a letter stating I must appear at 9 a.m. the next morning, and I go in and I'm interviewed by them. They want to know why I'm there, what my activities are, what I'm up to. This is fairly common to my life, Brianna. But the point I'm simply trying to make here is not only is it a very poor country, but it is a state it's a police force with a state, not a state with a police force. And as a result, it's highly oppressive. Everything you do is being monitored. The government is frightened of its own people, and you can be arrested at any moment. That's Cuba.
Yeah, it's so sad because I would love to one day visit Cuba, but unfortunately, given the current regime, I would never go anywhere near it. That's why I thought it was fascinating. I was watching your videos. I'm like, this is fascinating to see you on the ground there, truly. So, Larry, kudos to you for going. But I want to dive into a different topic. I kind of want to give you the floor for this one because you are the expert. You put together a really cool Twitter thread yesterday, and again, for our audience, if you don't follow Larry on X, I'd highly recommend you do just that. It's at Larry Taunton. But you did this really good one on the left's obsession with population control. Again, obviously, this is something that Alex Jones talks about all the time, but you put together this really cool thread. So walk us through it.
Yeah, Paul Ehrlich, the author of The Population Bomb, which was published in 1968, he died yesterday at age 93. And his book was seminal and important, not because the apocalyptic predictions that he made.
And remember, this is a friendly takeover of Cuba.
He said that hundreds of millions, even billions of people would die from starvation as a result of overpopulation and limited resources. But that book triggered an absolute panic all over the Western world and even led to China's one-child policy. So I'm simply outlining how this is an idea that had disastrous consequences for the West, indeed for China. I mean, we are seeing, if you're on Twitter at all these days, people will see that not just Alex Jones, but that Elon Musk is frequently talking about a population collapse throughout the United States, meaning not enough babies are being born to replace the existing population in countries like the United States and Britain and France and Germany and Italy and Spain and so on. This is what has taken place. And a lot of this began with a very secular prophecy, this book right here, The Population Bomb. And unfortunately, there was never any retraction. There was never any admitting we were wrong. I mean, this led to Roe v. Wade. It led to the creation of the Club of Rome. It led to the creation of the World Economic Forum, all of which always had depopulation as the centerpiece of their program.
So, like everything else, though, you could see that by causing all the problems to Cuba for all the years it's been enemies with the U.S. And then stealing Venezuela, that pretty much so they have to peacefully surrender. So the U.S. gets to come in, colonize it, make it a state, and that's what Trump's ambitions are. Because like everything else, though, he who has the most territories wins, right? Because it's really about having more territories and winning the war. Because they're finding out that their allies ain't with them. They ain't with this war. U.S. intelligence undercuts Trump's main justification for war with Iran. Because again, they can't find any justification for a war against Iran. One of U.S. President Trump's central justifications for his war against Iran has been blown out of the water by his own intelligence community, which concluded that Tehran was not rebuilding the nuclear enrichment capacity destroyed last year's U.S.-Israeli attack. In Operation Midnight Hammer, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard said, as a result, Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated. There has been no effort since to try to rebuild their enrichment capability. When questioned by senators, however, Gabbard did not repeat the conclusion orally and declined to say whether Iran had posed an imminent nuclear threat, saying the judgment was for the president. Just trying to, say it but not say it. Trying to cover her ass because, this chump threatens to sue you or fire you. if you say anything wrong. The U.S.-Israeli strategy against Iran is failing, and here's why. With incompetent war aims, no definition of victory, and a battlefield that keeps expanding, the U.S.-Israeli onslaught is doomed. And Iran only needs to survive in order to prevail. Yeah, they just have to survive this. Thousands of targets across Iranian territory, including military facilities, infrastructure, and command structures, have been struck, and many have suffered significant damage. The U.S. maintains air dominance while the Zionist regime continues to expand its campaign with unceasing strikes. Yet these tactical gains have not translated into political success. The central objectives of the aggression remain out of reach, leaving the U.S. and the Zionist regime without winning battlefield engagements while steadily losing the strategic contest. So like everything else, though, they can't win that. They can't take them down, you know. They thought that they would exhaust them, right? Department of War seeks $200 billion more to fund the Iran war, so they need more money because they've been running out of it. They've been exhausting all their sources. The Department of War needs another $200 billion for the war against Iran. Hegseth begged and said that the number could go higher. Democratic Representative Ro Khanna was quick to criticize the additional spending in a post on X. Congressman argued that money would be better spent on welfare programs. Several other Democrats came out against the proposal. Senate Majority Fuck Schumer did not directly denounce the potential bill, but did not say that Secretary of State Rubio and Hegseth must testify about the war. Republican Speaker of the House Johnson endorsed supplemental funding for the Pentagon, so looks like they got another $200 billion. Yeah. And according to Hegseth, the fucking douche, they're winning the war. Really, then that's why you need more money. And it's a global energy cost, you know, this whole war. Brent crude touches 118. European gas prices surges another 35%. So, $118 a barrel. Well, you can do the math on that. You know, it's pretty simple. So, we'll, you know, as to 42 gallons per barrel, we'll see how much they're paying. But you got to remember, though, this would be in American dollars, though. But nonetheless, though, we'll do this math, right? Give me a minute here. Remember, they're on the metric system, so it's going to look a little different. But I'm just doing this by gallons. So, okay. So we got 118 divided by 42, right? Equals about 280 a gallon. So over there, they're paying about 560 a gallon, but you'll see that in the liter form. So we got that. That's if they have a Costco gas. Probably paying a lot more than that. Remember, though, it's measured in meters, not gallons, but that gives you an idea on what they're paying. European natural gas prices may even go higher, with Bloomberg Business Reporter writing, the longer Qatar LNG remains offline, the higher the prices will go, because Qatar is one of their main ones. Qatar's energy plants are vital for Europe's natural gas supply, especially after sanctions were placed against Russian natural gas. The Dutch TTF natural gas contract, considered the European benchmark, jumped to 74 euros before falling back to 62 euros, representing a 35% increase. This is still well below the prices that were seen since the war first broke out between Russia and Ukraine in 2022. So it's bad out there. Israeli state vows no more strikes against Iranian energy assets. We promise this time, after South Pars hit sparks lasting shock. Israeli state acted alone. King Bibi said at a press conference on Thursday, although they said that they had the U.S. approval, as Israeli officials previously said that they had informed the U.S. about the attack. King Bibi said Israeli forces would assist U.S. and allied forces in reopening the paralyzed Strait of Hormuz choke point, and the war would be over faster than people think. So, like everything else, though, Israeli state will help, but none of the other allies will. So, a small snippet on what this war is really costing, as they only have one ally, and that's the Israeli state. It's for Greater Israel. None of the allies are with them.
You
The American-Israeli war on Iran has entered a new phase with an unprecedented attack on the Islamic Republic's energy sector. The attack, which took place on March 18th, hit gas storage tanks at Iran's South Pars field in the southern Iranian city of Azuriye, halting production at 2 refineries. The South Pars field is the world's largest natural gas reservoir, supplying approximately 70% of Iran's domestic gas and holding nearly 8% of the world's total reserves. Following the attack, Iran's state television published a threat saying that the Islamic Republic will be attacking oil and gas infrastructure in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. The response came quickly after. Large blasts were reported near the Saudi capital Riyadh, right as the kingdom's Ministry of Defense announced that 4 ballistic missiles heading in the direction of the city were intercepted. Target was reportedly the city's refinery. A major fire was also reported at another refinery in the city of Yanbu, located on the coast of the Red Sea. Yanbu is one of the kingdom's primary export terminals for refined products destined for Europe and Asia. Meanwhile, in Qatar, fire was reported in the Ras Laffan area, home to the world's largest liquefied natural gas production facility, following what the Interior Ministry described as Iranian targeting. Qatar Energy later described the damage there as extensive. The UAE was hit soon after. Early on March 19th, the country said the Habshan gas facility and the Bab field south of the capital, Abu Dhabi, were the target of a terrorist attack by Iran. The Habshan facility is one of the world's largest gas processing facilities, while the Bab field is the UAE's largest onshore oil field. Global oil prices jumped to over $112 per barrel following the Israeli attack in Iran's South Pars gas field, and natural gas prices spiked by 35% as retaliatory attacks hit major energy hubs in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. The attack on the South Pars gas field was clearly an attempt to pressure the Islamic Republic to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. At the same time, the attack was likely carried out in the hope that the Iranian retaliation would drag Gulf countries into the war. While it was reported that the U.S. will not be allowing Israel to attack any other energy facilities in Iran, the attacks will likely continue, especially that Saudi Arabia has warned that it could respond.
So Saudi Arabia still hasn't officially responded to it, but definitely they're not happy about it, that's for sure. U.S. dragged by Israeli state into unlawful war with Iran. D.C. now needs help to disengage, Oman has said. The U.S. has been drawn by the Israeli state into an unlawful war against Iran and needs help to disengage. Oman foreign minister has said, in an opinion published in The Economist on Wednesday, the top diplomat called on the U.S. allies in the region to tell the truth about the conflict and admit that D.C. has lost control of its own foreign policy, has lost control. There are 2 parties to this war who have nothing to gain from it, he wrote, referring to the U.S. and Iran. The U.S. maintains close security and defense partnerships with 6 Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, and Oman, and has significant military presence in the region, including bases and naval facilities. Escalation has had economic and security consequences for these states, with Iran retaliating against targets on the territory. Gulf officials have reportedly complained that they were not consulted or warned before the U.S. and Israeli state launched the campaign against Iran on the 28th of February. So they never consulted with them that they were going to attack. However, Iran sees them as complicit by hosting those bases. So it is an eye for an eye. Invasion incoming. Lebanon braces for Israeli onslaught. The country faces growing risk of war as divisions deepen. Yega Teshon, coordinator regional and international relations cluster at the Islam Fars Institute of Public Policy and International Relations, spoke to the editor of Russia in Global Affairs, Livkov, about the growing risk of a major war in Lebanon, with Hezbollah opening its second front against the Israeli state and fears mounting of a wider regional escalation. Lebanon once again finds itself in a shit pickle. Tishon outlines the possible scenarios for a limited conflict to a full-scale invasion and deep internal divisions that could prove just as dangerous as any external threat. Well, guess what, though? You deciding that, we're just going to help disarm Hezbollah led you to where you're at. The Israeli state was going to take you over anyways. You may as well have Hezbollah defend you, because your army is weak, your military is weak against the Israeli state. Hezbollah is the only chance you got. And like everything else, though, bunker boys, bunker busting bombs, all kinds of shit being used, they're preparing for nuclear fallout. Why? Because World War III, the Third World War, the nuclear destruction is exactly what's going to happen, though they dig themselves into hell. But guess what? Yahweh Shai and the angels are going to find each and every one of them. You ain't hiding from the Most High. Quick, hide us from the face of him. You shall not be able to hide. But they're preparing for nuclear fallout. So, just looking at this.
Well, lots of people are sharing this clip, especially after what the World Health Organization just said. Yeah, don't worry. Have all the extra sugar you want, as the World Health Organization now officially literally released a statement saying, prepare for a nuclear catastrophe if military operations in Iran escalate, and it looks like they will be, as we have the U.S. government asking for $200 billion more, on top of already the $1 trillion we have a part of our defense, our offensive capabilities. And a lot of people are asking, what in the hell's going on here, especially with the very mixed messaging that we're getting from the White House that seems to contradict itself every other day. The messaging has been inconsistent. As right now, some people are saying, well, we're actually in a very close point where there is going to be a dramatic rupture between Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu. And we have seen that through Donald Trump's statement, calling out Bibi's aggression here, that they said they had nothing to do with, as of course they previously released a statement saying that they knew about it. Ha! Is there a rift? Is there a divide? Are there two competing type of goals here between Bibi and the United States? What in the hell is going on here? Is there a break? We're going to talk about that and a lot more.
Well, it's the big show.
Media. Since it's a lot to break down, and if you appreciate us breaking it down, subscribe, click the notification button, because we got a lot of crazy updates surrounding this conflict that I think is worth talking about. Now, the World Health Organization has been wrong a lot of the times, more wrong than right, but when they talk about, hey guys, this could escalate out of hand, we should prepare for the worst, they're not wrong, right? Especially with Russia here allegedly providing intel, which highlights how the Iranians are able to hit specific designated areas where allegedly U.S. troops are, where radar systems are. We're having a blackout, and a lot of people, I talked to someone that just came from Dubai yesterday, and he talked about how he was there a couple days ago. He just sent a photo to his brother. Security forces swarmed him. There's foreign tourists in Dubai that
United
are facing 4 years in jail after releasing video footage of the strikes hitting their hotel rooms. And they're like, we're sorry, I'll delete it right away. I didn't mean to happen. I'm just a tourist here. And it doesn't matter, 4 years in jail. And that's happening a lot more than we understand it is. Of course, that's also happening within Bibi's government. That's happening all throughout the Middle East. And there's also a lot of fake news here. The Iranians are sharing a lot of fake AI videos and photos. Now, allegedly, the latest accusation from the Iranians is that they shot down an F-35 fighter jet. Now, a lot of people on social media are saying, wow, amazing, look, oh, wow, and I'm like, how do we know if this is true, since the Iranians are literally releasing the fakest AI videos claiming that they're super successful here. And again, each side is bragging. What's the real truth here? We don't know. Probably somewhere in the middle. Right? So there's a fog of war. The first casualty of war is the truth. Both sides are trying to not highlight the truth of exactly what's really going on here, creating this kind of very confusing media landscape where it's going to be very difficult to find out exactly what's really going on here. Right? What's really going on here? I don't know. Will we ever find out? I don't know. One thing that is clear, though, is that the Strait of Hormuz is the key kind of battle and breaking point for the United States and the global economy, right? And this has been the Iranian strategy, and this is what the war game said, and this is what we said many years on out. It says, look at the major trade routes, all of the major conflicts, all of the major wars, they're fought along trade routes. This is no different. A major conflict along a major trade route. As Mario Nafal says, the Strait of Hormuz is basically dead right now. Only 4 ships squeezed in the last 2 days, 3 empty crude tankers, 1 LPG carrier, all sanctioned, all one way, east to west. No more traffic, dozens every day. Now it's, quote, a ghost lane. As we have some very interesting statements from this administration saying, we need your support. We got the support. We don't have the support. We don't need your support. Now we have the support. As we were hearing that the UK, France, Germany, Italy, and the Netherlands, along with Japan, just issued a joint statement expressing their, quote, readiness to contribute to appropriate efforts. Very vague statement. What does that mean? I don't know. What actions are going to come to this? I don't know. It could just them being trying to placate Donald Trump that has asked them for help. They said no. Trump kind of fired back at them. Who knows if there's any kind of threats here? We knew that there were threats against Spain and the UK for not helping use their territories for this conflict. Trump sent out a threat. Then they rescinded and they said, okay, you guys could use our islands. All right. As now there's conversations about those countries helping, quote, ensure safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz. What does that mean? We do not know yet. How is that going to look like? It's an extremely vague statement, right? As they're talking about undertaking preparations, coordinating strategic petroleum reserve releases, and exploring ways to boost output. What does that mean? Are they going to be sending in ships? It doesn't look like it. We have the French NATO general talking about how joining Trump in the Strait of Hormuz, quote, is like buying a ticket for the Titanic after hitting the iceberg.
Yep.
That's what the French are saying, right? And they have a reason to think about this. Of course, the European press, they're reporting that we were dragged into this war when negotiations were well, and there was a good deal on the table, that the Iranians wanted peace and the Americans wanted war. That's what the Europeans are getting in their media reports of everything that's happening right now. And they're coming out and saying, why should we be involved in this conflict when there's questions, severe questions about the legality of it? That's what the Europeans are saying. Now, Donald Trump just met with the Japanese Prime Minister at the White House. He had some very surprising things to say about Pearl Harbor. And this kind of makes us understand why there's not a bigger kind of organized effort here by NATO and American allies here. Before getting into that clip, which is pretty wild.
Which he's just making light of the attack, right?
And of course, that's the only real way to get the full to become a member. That's just this time we're releasing, and it does mean a lot. Okay, now I think it's fair after demonstration's feet to the fire. So probably a lot of legal battles up ahead of us. We need your support now more.
But he made a joke about Pearl Harbor.
He was asked, hey, why didn't you coordinate with your allies with this larger kind of war, especially if there was an imminent attack here? You could have went to the allies and been like, look, here's the evidence, here's the proof, which we haven't gotten any of. And you could have just said, look, we need your help, we need your support.
The U.S. did have intelligence about Pearl Harbor,
we need to work together to stop
and didn't do anything to stop it.
And Donald Trump was asked about this, and this is what he had to say.
Too much. You know, when we go in, we went in very hard, and we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay?
You did get warning, you assholes.
Like a very aggressive big mistake here. Comparing your move to Pearl Harbor? No, what are we doing? It's like, yeah, we pulled Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, and like everything else, Pearl Harbor, it was well known that they were actually going to strike Pearl Harbor, and they just ignored that and allowed it to happen. Why? Because they had to get U.S. support for the war, for the World War. They had to get the U.S. involved, and the only way to get them involved was to allow Pearl Harbor to happen. This would be a call to action, and it did. The U.S. had joined the war. So, like everything else, though, he's just, making fun of Pearl Harbor. Because Trump is good at making jokes. Because remember, this war is just for fun. Blowing up shit is just for fun. Blowing up schools is just for fun. People dying every day is just the fun of it. Trump threatens to blow up world's largest gas field, but in distance itself from Israeli actions as Macron urges direct talks, because they say, look, man, this war has gone too far. Trump dials up threats seeking leverage, denies approving Israeli PAR strikes. However, reports from Wall Street Journal and Axios say the White House was aware. Tit-for-tat strikes are now directly targeting Gulf energy infrastructure, with Qatar's Ras Laffan damaged, KSA, Kuwait, Bahrain sites attacked, Saudi's trust in Iran completely shattered. Strait of Hormuz, Iran's parliament is floating tolls on shipping, weaponizing control. Because they are going to be paid in the yuan, not in U.S. dollars. The U.S. dollar is dead. Everything. So like everything else, DJ Trump pretends to be angry at Bibi. No more attacks will be made by Israeli state pertaining to this extremely important, valuable South Pars fields unless Iran unwisely decides to attack a very innocent, in this case Qatar, in which is the United States, with or without the help or consent of Israel, will massively blow up the entire South Pars gas field. So, he's increasing the threats against Iran. Because, he's got a fucking mouth on him. He could never shut his fucking hole, man. I mean, this is perfect. Most High has him exactly where he needs to be. Everything's in place. All they got to do is just roll out the MOTB, and then that's it. All the things that, we said, well, it'll be more evident once that happens, because World War III is already here. USS Gerald Ford retreats, exposing hollowness of American military superpower. So like everything else, another strike group has retreated, just like Lincoln did. The IRGC says the abrupt withdrawal of the USS Gerald Ford from West Asia has laid bare the hollowness of the arrogant powers. The dispatch of the vessel to the region with the uproar and extensive propaganda of American military officials and Western media and its questionable exit at the peak of the war, and the media silence of the arrogant American military officials cannot hide the desperate and humiliating state of the American and Zionist warmongers, the IRGC said. So like everything else, though, the U.S. and Israeli state are being humiliated at the response of Iran and the fact that they still can't take it down. The world has just changed. Nations react to Iranian air defenses ending U.S. F-35 invincibility. And it is official that they did strike down an F-35. In a development that has sent shockwaves through the global military community, Iran Armed Forces on Thursday successfully targeted a U.S. Air Force F-35 Lightning II, one of the world's most powerful stealth fighter jets. According to military pundits, for the first time ever that an F-35 has been struck. First reports emerged from the open source account, which said F-35A-B Lightning II had made an emergency landing after being hit by an Iranian surface-to-air missile. So now that these things are actually vulnerable, it gives Iran even more of an upper hand here that they can just focus in on what they did before. And like everything else, though, the whole world is going to rejoice when this devil Esau is put down. And he will be put down very soon. We're watching the downfall of his kingdom. So I've got one more video here before we close this out. But like everything else, though, we know that the infrastructure is here. All they have to do is usher it in. And we're in that appointed time that it should speak and not tarry, right? So we're watching news events, and we're speaking. Habakkuk chapter 2, and it reads, I will climb up to my watchtower and stand at my guard post, which is what we do. We're watching the videos day and night, watching the news, and pretty much, though, we're sighing and crying for the abominations here. We want to see this devil put out of power. There I will sit to see what the Most High says, and how he will answer my complaint. We're complaining continuously to the Most High. How long will this devil remain in power? How long do we have to stay here? And the Most High Yahweh said to me, write my answer plainly on tablets so that a runner can carry the correct message to others. So that's what we're doing. We are taking the message and we're reporting on it. The vision is for the future time. It describes the end and it will be fulfilled. So all prophecy will be fulfilled. We had a year of prophecy twice. 2020 was a year of prophecy. We had one before that, but nonetheless though, and then after that, I believe the whole full year, all prophecy takes to place. And the death and destruction of Esau Edom. So we've been praying about this for some time. If it seems slow in coming, wait patiently, for it will surely take place. It will not be delayed. So it's no longer delaying. All the pieces are falling into place. So in the moments of the greatest sorrows, the Most High is finally answering, right? We just had to wait patiently for him. Because we are crying all the time. How much longer do we have to suffer? And so that leads me to the very last video here. As I close this out, the world's going to rejoice when Esau goes down. Then I want to say, Braka the Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Wa Abab Baal. Brakatam, Jehovah elect, Shalom.
Shalom, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rahakwadash. Let's all praises to the Heavenly Father, through the name of the only begotten Son, through the Holy Spirit. The honors to the apostles, bishops, elders, great millstone, for teaching us the 100% truth according to the Bible and who rule well. Shalom to all you Akim and you Aquat, those that are hopeful elect that are seeking for salvation. The whole world will rejoice when Esau goes down. The Edomites, Esau, the so-called self-proclaimed white people that are ruling, the whole world is going to rejoice, going to be glad, going to be joyful when this devil goes down. Right? This is who's ruling the planet Earth. Job 9 and 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Now, Malachi 1 and 4 tells you who the border of wickedness is, which are the Edomites. So the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, who the world ignorantly calls God, he sets up rulerships. He puts down one, set up another.
So he put Esau in rulership for this period of time, which started from the Renaissance period to the times we're in now. We're seeing his kingdom go down based off prophecies. We're in the final or the tail end of Esau's kingdom. The Lord set him up for this period of time. He's the wicked that the Bible speaks of, Malachi 1 and 4. The physical counterpart to the spiritual demon Satan. Henceforth why the earth is in shambles, being mismanaged, because the wicked is ruling. You wonder why we're being oppressed. You have to work to make ends meet. So you got people damn near 80 years old, 80 plus years old, still Walmart greeters trying to make ends meet. There was a story of an 80-year-old man, which I believe was an Edomite. He had to do Uber or Uber Eats just to make ends meet to take care of him and his wife. See, these devils are going down, and their own people are also feeling the pressure. That's why the scriptures say, Deuteronomy 30 and 7, the curses shall befall our enemies. So they have to work till they die to make ends meet, because the wicked is ruling. All right, and the curse is falling upon our enemies. It says, he covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? This is the clear evidence of who's ruling the planet Earth. They cover the faces of the two judges, the children of Israel. Put their false images up. Our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus, a dark-skinned man. It tells you that in Revelation, the 1st chapter, and also in Daniel. They put their image up of a Cesare Borgia, an Edomite. Many other examples. The Heavenly Father, they depicted him as a Edomite man. When you Google God, you'll see what image pops up. So this is the only one who covered the faces of the judges thereof. No other nation is known for doing that. That's the clue of who's ruling the planet Earth. So through all the tyranny and the oppression, this devil is about to go down, and we're witnessing his downfall right before our eyes. And when you read Ezekiel, the 35th chapter, verse 1 says, moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, verse 2, Son of man, set thy face against, in opposition to, Mount Seir, and prophesy against it. Mount Seir was located in the land of Edom, where the Edomites dwelled. Now, when they say, well, that land is vacated, no one stays there, blah, blah, blah. As the scriptures say, it escapes my mind. The land is a people before it's a place. The land represents a people before it represents a place. So when you hear, in many examples, Israel, land of Israel is speaking mainly, majority of the time, depending on the context, of a people. Same thing goes for Mount Seir. So prophesying against Mount Seir, meaning prophesy against the people. So that's what we're doing through the power and spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Right? It says, and say unto it, verse 3, and say unto it, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. This devil thought the Most High was with him, because he was triumphing for a period of time. It was his time to rule. So of course his technology would get better. Of course he would be able to subdue nations and take over land and resources and set up garrisons, his militaries in different parts of the world, and have these other nations drinking of the wine, his philosophies, because it was his time to rule. But in reality, the Lord was against him the entire time. It says, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. So the Lord is going to make thee most desolate. Now, America, North America, is the main headquarters of the Edomite rulership, their empire. Okay, and the Lord is going to destroy this man's main hub, desolate via the nuclear missiles. This is why all these nations are now strong. The scriptures say, let the weak say I am strong. And we're in the process of witnessing a buildup of World War III. Now, prophecies happen in a specific order, design, in which the Lord requires things to come to pass by order and prophecy. The MOTB, the implantable device, the RFID chip, must be implemented, mandated, required for the people to buy or sell before those nukes are shot off from these other nations. But you now have people living in fear who were in doubt that we would ever come and see a day where World War III would take place. And we're in that time. Okay, contrary to what Bishop Nathaniel says, we're getting ready to see this very soon, once the MOTB is mandated. So the Lord is going to stretch out his hand against the Edomites and destroy this man's headquarters, right? Take his power, his rulership from him. Now, verse 4 says, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Makes me think of Romans the 9th chapter. Because the Lord raised up Esau to be the powerful Edomite that he is, to rule for this period of time, to do the Lord's will, just for the Lord to destroy him. And the Lord's name is going to reign supreme. Just like during the time of ancient Egypt, when the Lord raised up Pharaoh. I want to hit the point here. Romans 9:17 says, "For the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for the same purpose I have raised thee up." All right. Matter of fact, I'll start higher. Verse 16 says, "So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but of the Most High that showeth mercy." Verse 17, "For the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth." The Lord's name is being declared throughout all the earth, and is being taught and confessed before the world via the Holy Spirit by the prophets, who the Lord raised up. We open up with the names. We close with the names. We give all credit, praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai.
Through the names.
And the world is going to see and recognize who this mighty power is, omnipotent power, who raised this devil up just to bring him down.
Shalom.